Have you ever wondered if the reason you feel different, misunderstood, or strangely called to something greater is because you were chosen for a divine purpose? Imagine this. A child sits alone beneath an old oak tree, the world buzzing around them, but inside their heart burns a question they cannot silence. Why do I feel like I don't belong to the same rhythm as everyone else? That child grows, carrying whispers no one else can hear, visions that flicker like candlelight in their mind, and a restlessness that no career, no relationship, no earthly achievement can satisfy. It is as if their soul remembers something ancient, a mission written before time began. All across history, sacred texts spoke of these individuals, the prophets who saw beyond the veil, the warriors who stood against the tide of darkness, the healers who touched the broken and restored life with their very presence. They were called the Chosen, not because they were perfect, not because they were powerful in the ways the world measures power, but because their spirits carried keys to doors others could not even see. What if I told you there are 9 types of chosen ones, each with a role so distinct yet so deeply connected to the survival and elevation of humanity that ignoring it feels like suffocating your own destiny? Each type is a mirror, and one of them may reflect your deepest truth. Perhaps that's why you've been restless. Perhaps that's why the world feels heavier on your shoulders than on others. This is not just mythology, not just symbolic language. It is the hidden architecture of purpose. And as we uncover the first of these types, a figure who sees not only the surface of reality, but its trembling roots, you will begin to sense why your life has unfolded the way it has, and why you could never silence that voice within you. Because the journey of the chosen begins with vision. But what does it mean to see beyond the ordinary veil of time and space? You wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, because the same dream has returned again. At first you dismissed it, just the mind playing tricks. But why does it always carry the same images, the same feelings, as though a message is stitched between the folds of sleep? A stranger's face, a door you never opened, a voice that whispers a name you've never heard. Yet the sensation lingers when morning comes, as if it belonged not to a dream, but to another dimension of truth. Maybe your signs don't come in dreams. Maybe they appear in numbers. You glance at the clock, 11:11. Later, you look at a receipt, $22.22. A license plate cuts through traffic, 777. At first you think it's random. But why does your stomach tighten every time it happens? Why do you feel as though the universe itself is tapping your shoulder, trying to draw your attention to something hidden, something urgent? Numbers become the secret language of the unseen, patterns etched into the everyday world like invisible hieroglyphs waiting for you to notice. And then there are the moments when your body becomes the messenger. A sudden chill runs through your spine when no wind blows. A warmth blooms in your chest when you step into certain places or hear certain words. Your skin prickles as though unseen fingers brushed against you, leaving behind a ripple of energy. Doctors call it psychosomatic. Friends call it overthinking. But deep inside, you know these sensations are not mistakes of biology. They are alarms and confirmations, signals from a realm that refuses to be ignored. Perhaps you've felt the ache of disconnection. You sit among friends, laughing at the same jokes, yet something inside you whispers that you are elsewhere. You walk into your job, your home, your routine, and it feels like wearing someone else's clothes, familiar but not yours. This subtle pain of not belonging is not a flaw. It is the soul's way of reminding you there is more to this story. You are not lost. You are being called. Think about the times you met someone new, and within seconds you felt you had known them forever, or the instant dislike you couldn't explain when another person walked into the room. Science calls it instinct, but chosen ones recognize it as spiritual memory, the soul remembering bonds that existed long before this lifetime. These are the fingerprints of destiny, and once you notice them, you cannot unsee them. The world has taught you to silence these whispers, to believe only in what can be measured, counted, dissected. But deep down you feel it, that the coincidences are too precise, too meaningful, that the chills, the dreams, the numbers, the déjà vu are all brushstrokes in a painting only you were meant to read. And yet this awareness is not easy. It brings weight. To see what others cannot is to carry what others refuse to bear. People may laugh at your stories, dismiss your visions, call you dramatic. They cannot feel the invisible currents that move through your body, but you do. You carry the tension of knowing you are being spoken to, while the world insists there is nothing to hear. Still, the question burns. Why you? Why the repetition, the signals, the strange guidance that never seems to stop? Is it a warning? Is it preparation? Or is it initiation? A door slowly opening into a role you did not choose, but that chose you. Every sign is a fragment of a larger language. And the deeper you look, the clearer the pattern becomes. But to truly understand the message, you must uncover the archetype that speaks through you, the role hidden beneath the surface of your life. So tell me, when the veil lifts and you recognize that these signs are not coincidences, but assignments, what kind of chosen one might you be? The first great secret is hidden in plain sight. It's a sign so many dismiss, yet it has appeared across cultures, scriptures, and generations. It is the language of dreams. Dreams are not random. They are not just the mind sorting through clutter. They are portals, encrypted letters from the unseen realm. In ancient Mesopotamia, kings would not make a single decision without consulting their dreams. In the Bible, Joseph rose from a forgotten prisoner to the Pharaoh's most trusted advisor because he could interpret the visions of the night. His dreams not only saved a nation from famine, but also revealed that the invisible world is constantly whispering into the visible. Think of your own life. How many times have you dreamed something that later unfolded in reality? Perhaps you saw a place before ever stepping into it, or dreamed of someone only to meet them days later. You wake up shaken with the uncanny sense that the dream carried weight far beyond imagination. That's because it did. The ancients believed that when you sleep, your soul wanders. Some traditions say it travels through the astral plane, where it meets guides, ancestors, and sometimes even glimpses future possibilities. That's why repetitive dreams are so powerful. They are not accidents. They are urgent messages, repeating until you finally pay attention. And here lies the first great revelation. Dreams are assignments, not entertainment. When the same image returns to you, whether it's walking through endless doors, seeing water rise, or speaking to someone who has passed, it's not meant to haunt you. It's meant to awaken you. The hidden meaning is that your soul is being prepared for a mission, a shift, a divine alignment. Let me give you an example. In the book of Daniel, the king dreamed of a colossal statue made of different metals: gold, silver, bronze, iron. None of his wise men could explain it. But Daniel, chosen to see what others could not, revealed the truth. The statue was a prophecy of kingdoms yet to come, each metal a symbol of an empire that would rise and fall. What looked like a strange nightmare was, in truth, a blueprint of history. So ask yourself, what blueprints are hidden in your dreams? Could the repetition of drowning symbolize the parts of your life you feel are overwhelming you? Could the endless staircases represent your soul's desire to ascend beyond the limits placed on you? Could the visitations from loved ones who have passed remind you that death is not an end, but a veil between dimensions? Here's the mystery that many spiritual teachers will never tell you. The dream world is a classroom where the divine trains the chosen. When you are asleep, your resistance is gone, your walls are down, and your spirit is open. That's when instructions slip through. That's when you are taught lessons your waking mind might reject. Some of you are waking up at 3 a.m. for no reason, but there is a reason. The ancients called this the watchman's hour, a sacred time when heaven and earth align, when the veil is thinnest and the voice of spirit is clearest. If you are experiencing this, it is not insomnia, it is invitation. An invitation to listen, to write down, to seek meaning. The chosen are often shaken awake, literally because their souls cannot afford to miss the training. Do not take these signs lightly. The dream realm is your initiation into deeper awareness. And here is the hidden truth. What you choose to ignore in your dreams will come knocking in your waking life. The message will insist on being heard, one way or another. That's why communities of mystics always gathered to share and decode their visions. They knew that no dream was wasted, no symbol meaningless. Today, we dismiss it with psychology. We reduce it to stress. But your soul knows. You wouldn't still remember that dream if it wasn't important. This is the first secret. Your dreams are your divine script, a whisper from eternity about who you are and where you are going. And every time you ignore them, you delay a chapter of your mission. But every time you embrace them, you step closer to walking as the chosen one you already are. Take this as your moment of awakening. Pay attention to the next dream. Write it down. Decode it. Ask the questions your ancestors once asked. What is heaven showing me? What is my spirit teaching me? Because the answers are waiting, hidden within the night. And if this revelation speaks to something deep in your heart, if you've ever felt that your dreams carried weight you couldn't explain, then give this video a like. Subscribe and step into this community, not just as a viewer, but as part of a circle of chosen souls uncovering truths the world has tried to bury, because the dreams are only the beginning. There is another sign, one even stranger, one that pierces through the ordinary world when you least expect it, and it might already be following you. The story I want to share with you is one that could easily belong to any of us. It begins in the quiet suburbs of a small American town, where a woman named Sarah lived an ordinary life. She was a mother of two, worked at a local library, and spent her weekends baking pies for her neighbors. On the surface, nothing seemed extraordinary. Yet beneath that calm exterior, Sarah carried a secret. She was haunted by dreams and signs she couldn't explain. Every night the same dream pulled her from sleep. She would find herself standing at the edge of a vast ocean, the waves rolling with a rhythm that seemed both terrifying and comforting. In the distance, she saw a figure cloaked in light. The figure never spoke, but lifted a hand, pointing toward the horizon where a storm brewed. Sarah would always wake up breathless, her heart pounding as though she had just run miles. For weeks she ignored it. She chalked it up to stress, to her mind playing tricks. But the dreams kept coming. It didn't stop there. During her daily routines, Sarah began noticing numbers, repeating, persistent, unshakable. 4:44 glowing on the microwave when she reheated her coffee. 11:11 flashing on her phone when she checked a message, receipts ending in the same digits again and again. At first she laughed nervously about the coincidences, but eventually the repetition was too uncanny to dismiss. She felt as if the universe was following her, tugging at her sleeve, whispering, "Pay attention." Her body joined the chorus of signs. There were moments when she felt an electric shiver crawl up her spine without explanation. Sitting at the library desk, cataloguing books, she would suddenly feel a rush of warmth in her chest, as if her very heart was glowing. Doctors found nothing wrong. Friends teased her about early menopause. But Sarah knew, deep inside, she knew something larger was at play. One evening, everything converged. She was driving home under a sky painted red by the setting sun, when her radio, which had been turned off, suddenly crackled with static. Out of the static came a single word, clear and sharp. "Awaken." Her hands trembled on the wheel. She pulled over, tears streaming down her face, unable to explain what had just happened. In that moment, all the signs, the dreams, the numbers, the sensations formed a single thread. And she understood. This was not coincidence. This was a calling. From that day forward, Sarah changed. She began keeping a dream journal, writing down every symbol, every face, every wave of that endless ocean. She studied ancient texts and scriptures, searching for meaning, and found parallels everywhere. She began meditating under the same oak tree she used to sit beneath as a child, listening to the whispers of the wind. Slowly, her perception of life shifted. She no longer saw the world as random. Every encounter, every accident, every sensation was a part of a divine conversation. Her family noticed the change. She spoke with more peace, more patience, more presence. When her teenage daughter struggled with anxiety, Sarah guided her to breathe through the panic and listen to the quiet voice within. When her neighbor lost his job, Sarah baked bread, sat with him, and reminded him that sometimes endings are simply disguised beginnings. She had become, without realizing it, a healer of hearts, not because she sought the role, but because she finally accepted it. But the most powerful transformation came when Sarah returned to the ocean, not in her dreams this time, but in reality. During a family trip to the coast, she walked barefoot into the waves. The same horizon stretched before her, the same sense of vast mystery enveloped her. And just as in the dream, she felt the presence of that figure cloaked in light. It was not visible to anyone else, but to Sarah it was undeniable. She fell to her knees in the sand, overwhelmed with gratitude and awe. Tears mixed with salt water as she whispered, "I understand now, I accept." From that day, Sarah knew she was one of the chosen, not in the sense of being better than others, but in the sense of being awake. She realized that the signs had always been there, patiently waiting for her to notice, and when she did, her entire life became infused with meaning. Her story is not just hers, it is ours. How many of you watching have felt the same? Have you dreamed of the same places over and over? Have you seen numbers follow you, felt chills without reason, heard whispers in the silence? These are not random. They are the hidden language of spirit, calling you to step into your own purpose. I want you to pause for a moment and think, what was the most powerful sign you've ever experienced? A dream, a number, a voice, a sensation? Share it in the comments below. I read each one, and in the next videos, I may mention your story as a testimony for others who are walking the same path. Because when you share, you remind someone else that they are not alone. And remember, Sarah's story was only the beginning. Because for every sign, there is a deeper truth, a deeper key that unlocks the next layer of the chosen path. So what if the very pain and confusion you've carried your whole life were actually part of the preparation for a sacred role waiting to be revealed? The second great sign that reveals the path of the chosen ones is the language of numbers and synchronicities. Unlike dreams, which often arrive in the silence of the night, numbers appear in the middle of daily life, slipping through the cracks of ordinary moments with startling precision. You've seen it. You wake up and glance at the clock, 11:11. Later you receive a message and the timestamp is 2:22. A license plate ahead of you reads 777. At first you shrug it off as coincidence, but when it happens again and again, when the patterns repeat until you cannot unsee them, you realize there is a message unfolding. Throughout history, numbers have been considered the very alphabet of creation. In Pythagorean philosophy, numbers were not simply quantities, but qualities, energies vibrating at specific frequencies that shaped reality itself. In Hebrew mysticism, every letter carried a numerical value, making sacred texts into codes of divine resonance. Even in the Bible, numbers repeat with deep symbolic power, 7 as the number of completion, 40 as the number of testing, 12 as the number of divine order. So when you encounter repeating numbers, you are not just seeing digits, you are touching the edge of a cosmic rhythm that is trying to speak to you. Take 111 or 1111. This is often called the awakening code. It signals alignment, a reminder that your thoughts are especially magnetic in that moment. When you see it, the universe is essentially saying, pay attention. What you think now is shaping what comes next. 222 is different. It speaks of balance and partnership. When this number follows you, it often points to relationships, harmony, or the need to trust divine timing. It is Spirit's way of reminding you that things are falling into place, even if you cannot yet see the pattern. 444. The number Sarah saw so often in her story is the code of protection. It's the whisper that you are not alone, that unseen guardians walk beside you. Many who are in the midst of transition or fear encounter 444 as reassurance that the journey is guided. And then 777, the number of the mystic. It symbolizes spiritual mastery, the alignment of heaven and earth, the whisper that you are on the threshold of revelation. To see it is to be reminded that your soul is ready for deeper truths. But how do you move beyond simply noticing these numbers into actually receiving their wisdom? Here is a simple practice. Pause and acknowledge. The moment you see a repeating number, don't dismiss it. Stop for a breath. Recognize that the universe has just called your attention. Check your thoughts. Ask yourself, what was I thinking in this exact moment? Numbers often highlight the energy of your thoughts. If your mind was heavy with fear, the number may be redirecting you toward faith. If you were doubting, it may be affirming your intuition. Write it down. Keep a small notebook or use the Notes app on your phone. Write the number, the time, and what was happening around you. Over time, you will notice patterns. You may realize that 111 always appears when you are about to make a decision, or that 4444 shows up during moments of fear. The repetition will reveal the specific language Spirit is using to speak to you. Respond with intention. Numbers are not passive, they are invitations. When you see them, whisper a prayer, set a conscious thought, or make a small decision aligned with your higher self. By responding, you turn the sign into a dialogue rather than a monologue. This practice transforms your life from random noise into a symphony. You begin to see that you are not drifting aimlessly. You are being guided, taught, encouraged. Each number is a step on a staircase, lifting you closer to clarity about your role as a chosen one. And here's the beauty. This wisdom is not reserved for mystics or prophets. It is accessible to you right now. Every one of us has the ability to tune into the language of numbers. All it takes is awareness, humility, and the willingness to pause. When you live with this awareness, daily life becomes extraordinary. A receipt at the grocery store becomes a confirmation of guidance. A street number becomes a message of alignment. A clock becomes a portal. Nothing is wasted, and every detail matters. And yet, this is only the surface. Numbers open the door, yes, but there is a sign even deeper, a sign that doesn't just whisper through clocks or receipts. It burns through your very soul, a signal so rare and so overwhelming that when it comes, your life can never return to what it was before. What is this sign, hidden from the eyes of the many, but known by the few who are truly awake? There is a sign more powerful than dreams, more direct than numbers, more undeniable than synchronicities. It is not written in the sky or on clocks, not whispered through repeating patterns, but carved directly into the deepest chambers of your soul. This sign is the inner calling, the voice within that refuses to be silenced. It is the moment when everything external, noise, opinions, distractions, loses its grip, and a fire rises from within. This fire is not ordinary desire. It is not ambition. It is not the longing for wealth, recognition, or safety. It is something far more ancient, something eternal. It is the memory of who you truly are. Mystics across the ages described it in different ways. The Desert Fathers of early Christianity called it the still, small voice of God. Hindu sages spoke of it as the Atman, the higher self that is one with Brahman, the infinite. Modern quantum thinkers even hint at it, suggesting that consciousness itself is not born in the brain, but is the fabric of reality, pulling us back to awareness like gravity pulls the stars. When you experience this sign, it is unmistakable. You may be washing dishes, walking through a crowded street, or lying awake in the dark. Suddenly, without warning, a piercing clarity floods your being. It is as if time stops. In that suspended moment, you know you are not just flesh and bone, you are eternal light. You realize that your life has never been random, that even your suffering was a preparation. You sense that every heartbreak, every delay, every unanswered prayer was arranging you for this exact awareness. This is the deepest signal of the chosen, awakening to your divine identity. It cannot be faked, and it cannot be ignored. When it happens, you no longer chase signs. You become the sign. Your very presence carries the vibration of truth. But here is the paradox. This awakening does not come to those who seek power, status, or escape. It comes to those willing to break, to surrender, to fall on their knees in humility. It comes to those who dare to say, "I don't know, but I am willing to be shown." It is in that surrender that the voice rises, not loud, but unshakable, whispering, "You were never lost, you were never forgotten. You were always chosen." And when this realization strikes, it changes everything. The burdens you carried no longer feel like punishments. They feel like sacred tasks. The people who hurt you no longer appear as enemies. They appear as teachers. The unanswered questions no longer torment you. They become gateways to deeper mysteries. This is not philosophy. This is experience. If you've ever felt that sudden surge of love in the middle of your grief, if you've ever broken into tears without knowing why, if you've ever felt your chest expand as though the universe itself was breathing through you, then you have touched this sign. You have touched awakening, and it is in this moment of revelation that I pause to ask you, if this message resonates, if you feel that fire even flickering inside you, support this work. Subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and know that this is not about algorithms or profit. This is a labor of love, created with passion and devotion. Every subscription strengthens this community of seekers, this circle of souls walking the same mysterious path. Together, we keep this light alive. Because this is not just content, it is a gathering of the chosen, remembering who we are. The climax of the journey is not in seeing signs outside, but in awakening the truth inside. This is the point where vision turns into purpose, where you stop waiting for messages and start embodying them, when your very life becomes the prophecy. And yet, there is one final revelation, because knowing you are chosen is not the end. The question that remains is, what will you do with this awakening? How will you carry this fire into the world, into your family, into your community? For the greatest secret is not only that you are chosen, but that you are chosen for a mission. And that mission is about to be unveiled. From the very beginning of this journey, we have walked through signs that most of the world ignores, dreams that whisper in the night, numbers that glow like codes in the fabric of reality, synchronicities that tie moments together as if by invisible threads. And then, the deepest of all, the voice within, the awakening of your true self, the realization that you were never here by accident. Each of these signs is not random, not coincidence. They are sacred invitations. They are sparks lit along your path to remind you, you are chosen. Chosen does not mean superior. It does not mean burdened beyond what you can carry. It means awakened to a mission larger than yourself. It means you are part of a living story that stretches back through prophets, sages, and mystics, and forward into a future where light will overcome shadow, The same fire that burned in those who came before now flickers within you. And your task, your calling, your divine responsibility is to tend that fire, to nurture it, and to share its warmth in a world that has grown cold. Look back at your own life. Think of the times you felt out of place, different, restless, the moments you questioned why the world felt hollow, why its promises never satisfied the hunger in your soul. That was not failure, that was preparation. Every ache, every unanswered prayer, every tear you shed in secret was not wasted. They were all seeds, waiting for the right season to bloom. And now, as you hear these words, you know that season has arrived. This is not the end of your story, it is the unveiling of it. The mission of the chosen is not to escape the world, but to transform it, to take the light you've remembered and carry it into the dark corners of families, cities, nations, to heal with your presence, to guide with your wisdom, to inspire with your courage. This is the legacy of the chosen, and it begins with you. And so I invite you, yes, you who are watching, feeling that stirring in your chest right now, to step fully into this circle. Become part of this community of awakening souls. Leave a comment below with your name and the city you are watching from. Share your voice, because your story matters, and in the next video, your name may be spoken as part of this sacred chain of witnesses. Like this video if it has touched you, and subscribe not as a transaction, but as an act of belonging, an act of joining a family that believes in the unseen, the mysterious, the divine. This channel does not exist for profit. It exists because the truth must be spoken, because the light must be carried forward. Every like, every subscription, every comment is not just digital noise. It is the heartbeat of a growing circle, a sign to the universe that we are ready, that we are awake, that we will no longer walk in silence. So I leave you with this. You are not here by chance, you are not broken, you are not lost, you are chosen, and when the chosen awaken, the world begins to shift. But know this. What we have uncovered so far is only the beginning. The signs you've recognized are the doorway. Beyond them lies a mystery even greater, a revelation that has the power to transform not only your personal path, but the destiny of humanity itself. Stay awake, stay ready, for the greatest unveiling is still to come.